The extreme left or the extreme right?
The left viscerally makes me often want to punch them more, because they're just so often like anti-common sense. So they just insist on championing things that are really about them, but they have to feel like they're social justice warriors. You know, they have to. It's very important for them to feel like they're the good people. And by telling us that we're all bad, that's how they know their terms. Right. People want to voice their opposition to what's going on in any administration. They're not happy with this, they're not happy with that. That's the way to show it. I mean, the Democrats are going to have to work really hard to figure out how they're going to blow this one.
Buckle up, guys, because Bill Maher is back, and he's not pulling punches. This time, he's dissecting why the Democratic Party keeps struggling to connect with voters. While the far-left experiments with messaging and strategy, Maher argues nothing is sticking. According to him, the problem isn't branding, it's direction. And in this breakdown, he lays out exactly why the DNC keeps floundering in today's political climate.
So I would like to have a strong Democratic candidate to get things back to a little bit of normal.
Is Newsom the strongest?
He is right now. I mean, again, California, a lot of crazy stuff in this state. We know better than anybody, you know? If somebody breaks into your house and you shoot them, you have to worry that you're going to go to jail.
Right.
You know, lots of stuff like that. Homeless on the streets. I mean, and that's not just California. I've seen a number of people have died in New York, homeless on the street, because somehow they got it into their heads that the way to treat the homeless compassionately was not to get them off the streets. You know, us old school liberals, when we used to talk about this issue, the compassionate thing to do was to make sure they got off the streets, not to protect them in their pristine environment underneath a bridge.
Maher believes Gavin Newsom might be the Democrats' best shot at reclaiming national power, but there's a catch. He says Newsom has drifted too far left to appeal to mainstream voters. California's homelessness crisis and sanitation problems, Maher argues, don't help his case either. If Newsom wants a serious 2028 run, he'll need to recalibrate, move closer to the center, and show measurable results, not just progressive rhetoric.
You know, I think old school liberals would like to see a candidate in the Democratic Party who has the strength to disassociate himself from a lot of the stuff that made Donald Trump attractive to people who didn't necessarily like him so much, but just said, you know what? His brand of crazy, yeah, I'm going to go with that over their brand of crazy.
But Maher doesn't stop at Newsom. He says the entire Democratic Party needs a reality check. According to him, many Americans see woke politics as extreme and disconnected from everyday concerns. Cultural battles dominate headlines, while economic anxiety and public safety take a back seat. Maher warns that unless the DNC adjusts its tone and priorities, it risks alienating the very voters it needs to survive.
Another huge issue here in California and across the country is immigration. Now we're going to have a partial government shutdown over DHS funding. The Department of Homeland Security essentially not funded, at least part of it now, going forward for the foreseeable future. Is that the right fight for Democrats? And where do you think that should go?
Well, I think ICE and the border people already have the money.
Right.
So no. So I would guess that's not a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
They say that's the only leverage that they have.
Yeah. I mean, again, the leverage they have is to win the next election. I mean,
Here's the political reality Maher points out. Republicans currently control the House, Senate, and presidency. That dominance means Democrats have little leverage. Their only real path back to power is persuading voters. But Maher argues they're failing at that mission by doubling down on divisive cultural issues instead of focusing on bread-and-butter concerns like jobs, healthcare, and crime.
People want to voice their opposition to what's going on in any administration. They're not happy with this, they're not happy with that. That's the way to show it. I mean, the Democrats are going to have to work really hard to figure out how they're going to blow this one.
Historically, midterms often punish the party in power. On paper, Democrats should have had momentum. But Maher says they squander opportunities by getting tangled in internal ideological battles. Instead of capitalizing on voter dissatisfaction, they drift into messaging that feels out of touch to moderates. Until they focus on broadly resonant issues, What should be an advantage becomes another missed opportunity.
Maher, let's talk for a moment about your relationship with President Trump, which has been interesting over the years. You well documented that you had this dinner with him at the White House,
very well
which you
documented.
talked about, which people have talked about. What's the nature of your relationship with him now? What's that like?
Well, okay, well, first of all, the people who stopped watching my show because I had dinner with them are idiots, in my view. They just are. They're just
Right.
completely emotional because they're always asking the wrong question, which is like, oh, how dare you have dinner with Donald Trump? The question should always have been, what did I say after I had dinner with Donald
Right.
Trump? Now, if after I had dinner with Donald Trump, I came back to this show and was seduced by that dinner and stopped tearing him a new one every week, every time I thought he did something wrong, then you would have a case.
Maher also fired back at critics who stopped watching his show after he had dinner with Donald Trump. For him, engagement isn't endorsement, it's dialogue. He argues real progress comes from talking to people you disagree with. His critics, he claims, prefer echo chambers where ideas go unchallenged. In today's polarized climate, Maher positions himself as someone willing to debate rather than retreat.
Yeah.
I also don't pause for making fun of the left when they are, in my view, crazy. But that doesn't.
And there's been plenty of examples.
And there's plenty of examples of that. But I never stopped with Donald Trump. So I feel like having met him and sat down for 3 hours, it was a long dinner, and the left got very mad at me for reporting it accurately, which is he's very different in person. By the way, everyone who's ever met him says the same thing.
I would say the same thing. I've met him several
Of
times.
course.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they just couldn't abide by this. But okay, that's the truth. He met Ma'am Donnie, remember, the mayor
Right.
of New York. He had been yelling and screaming at him, and then he had him to the Oval Office. I think he's a nice guy.
Right.
Don't you get it? He operates everything out of a personal relationship. You have to have a personal relationship. Trust me, he's not upstairs at night reading the briefing book.
One of Maher's boldest points is about how the left framed Donald Trump for years. He argues that constantly portraying Trump as an existential threat eventually lost credibility with some voters. Instead of weakening Trump, the repeated alarmist messaging may have fueled skepticism and distrust. In Maher's view, exaggeration can backfire, pushing undecided voters away rather than persuading them.
It's just so disappointing that some of the people who I think of as rational people, Donald Trump, he does a lot of stupid things. He also makes people stupid. like again, what is the alternative? He's the president. You can't not talk to him. What is the downside? I'm going to elevate him? Oh my God, you mean he could become president? It's just
Get a little more attention?
It's silly. And when you do talk to him, he does listen. That's what happened. He does listen. I'm not saying it's going to change him, but what I was trying to say afterwards when I talked about it at the end of last season is he needs more people like me talking to him.
Maher poses an uncomfortable question. What's the worst that could happen if the left engaged the right in honest debate? He believes meaningful dialogue should be embraced, not feared. But he suggests some activists treat certain ideas as untouchable. That reluctance to engage, he argues, stems from fear that strong counterarguments might expose weaknesses in their worldview.
What's more annoying to you, the extreme left or the extreme right?
The extreme right is more dangerous. Absolutely. They don't believe in democracy. They don't believe that in conceding elections. He's made that plain. The climate thing we just talked about, those are just two issues. There are others. The left viscerally makes me often want to punch them more, because they're just so often like anti-common sense. So they just insist on championing things that are really about them, but they have to feel like they're social justice warriors. They have to. It's very important for them to feel like they're the good people, and by telling us that we're all bad, that's how they know they're good.
Right.
And that just becomes kind of annoying.
According to Maher, one major frustration with the far left is rhetoric that feels disconnected from common sense. When positions are defended with absolute certainty and no room for refinement, productive conversation becomes nearly impossible. Maher's broader message is simple. Any movement that refuses to self-correct risks alienating people rather than persuading them.
We sort of saw both examples with the Super Bowl halftime show, where Kid Rock, who you had that dinner with, was doing his own show, and then Bad Bunny's doing his show. Which one did you watch, and what did you make of that cultural moment for America?
So funny. People were asking me the week before, which one are you going to watch? I said, I'm going to watch the real one, the regular one, like I do every year, and I'm going to honor it the same way by going to the bathroom.
Did you?
Of course, you have to go to the bathroom at some point.
Yeah.
But I watched it. I liked it. You know what? I didn't understand it, but like I said tonight in the show, I don't understand when Mick Jagger sings either. I don't understand any rock star. Nobody's really understandable. I didn't understand Kendrick Lamar very well either. I mean, that's okay. It's just a feeling. And, I said to, I don't...
Even cultural moments aren't immune. Maher points to how events like the Super Bowl halftime show, meant to unify and entertain, now get dissected through political lenses. What should be shared enjoyment becomes ideological controversy. His warning is bigger than party politics. When debate is silenced, messaging drifts from reality and ideology hardens, voters notice. If Democrats want to compete effectively, Maher argues, they must reconnect with mainstream concerns, embrace open dialogue, and prioritize solutions over slogans. And that's where we leave it today. If you found value in this breakdown, hit like and subscribe for more sharp political analysis.